My name is Nglan Niat. I'm originally from Cameroon. I grew up between Cameroon and Canada. So I was born in Canada, spent the first 10 years in Canada, then moved back to Cameroon when I was 10. Went through secondary school in Cameroon and then went back for university. Went to Canada and attended University of Montreal. I did a bachelor's and a master's degree in microbiology, and then moved into the business world, and then took on an MBA in HR. That's for schooling. So for my career, when I moved back to Cameroon, and I joined my current organization, which I've been with for 17 years, and with this organization have moved around for work. So I'm in HR. I'm an HR professional, and I've started in Africa. Worked in Africa for 4 years as an HR manager. At that time, covering Equatorial Guinea, Ivory Coast, and Cameroon. At the time for 4 years. Then moved to Canada with the same organization in manufacturing, and as an HR manager as well for 4 years. And then to Houston, a different facet of HR, which is more on the benefits arena. So in the headquarter office, I did what we call employee stock plan management for 4 years as well. Then moved to Paris for 3 years, where I was in HQ as well, as HR manager for our executive office in Paris, and then worked in communications as well. And then after 10 years, moved back to Africa, back to Cameroon for 1.5 years on a specific project, and then moved to Nigeria 1.5 years ago for taking on the role of HR manager for West Africa, covering 8 countries in West Africa, based in Nigeria, including Nigeria. The main challenge for me in the 17 years I've worked for this organization has been the mobility. For development, going from one country to another, living in one country, in 3 different continents in 10 years, with a family, with a husband, and with children. So that has been the main challenge. I think how I surmounted it, or how we're able to deal with it, was just having a supportive partner. It's really very key, because obviously one question I always get when I talk about my career is if I'm married to an African man, because following somebody for 10 years, one country to another, is not usually what an African man will do. So I think for me, it's having a supportive partner. It's communication, making sure that we know what we want as a family, and that we have the support. And so it worked out very well, actually.
According to the Catalyst research, despite Canadian 100 years effort at gender equality, only 36.8% are managers and only 17.7% are at the senior level. 14% occupy the board seats. This really shows the poor representation of women at the upper echelon of management. So tell me, why is the leadership pipeline leaking away talents? Because it seems as if as women grow, as women progress, we have fewer women move forward. We have a lot of women in the middle. However, women seems to leak away from the pipeline as they progress.
So I think to answer that, I think one of the answers that we usually get frequently is it's because of the men, it's because of the organizations, etc. I think we have to look at ourselves as women, and obviously we do not sit at the table. We do not want to sit at the table. We do not want to lean in. We fall back, either because we're trying to raise families, so we either slow down our career, and things like that. Obviously, are going to take us back. So I think that what's important is for organizations in general to avoid that. First of all, as women, to take the ownership and to want to sit at that table, to want to speak up, to want to talk, to want to be there, to want to be leaders. Because when I look at, for example, in our organization, which is more, an engineering firm, you have very good, talented engineers that come in, that move up in the organization and at a certain point want to go into function roles rather than staying in the operations and moving up the management ladder, just because they feel more comfortable family-wise, etc., than to be doing the crazy operations and. So I think it's important that we ensure that we want to be leaders and we want to move up and we want to, again, I repeat, sit at that table, lean in, and all the the acronyms we have. And then I think for the organizations, what's important is succession planning, ensuring that we have women in the beginning of their careers on our succession plans. Unfortunately, that's something that I look at almost daily in my organization, right? What's our succession plan like? What are we doing? And what are you doing to put women early in their careers on the succession plan? If you don't build the pipeline early on, we're going to end up still having no women at the top. So what's, for me, the key is really to prepare those succession plans, making sure we have women very young in their career on the succession plans, and ensuring that we have them for ready now, for ready in the future, and monitoring and ensuring that we actually, keep those succession plans alive.
One of the major problems women face in their desire for top-level position is the act of balancing family and career. Many women find it extremely difficult returning to work after a career break, either for family, health issues, or other concerns. What can we do to ensure a seamless return to work?
So I think yes. So I think yes. So I mean, the issues you put there are exactly that. I mean, I'd add maternity in there as well, even though it's a short period, because even that, it's something that you have to manage as well. Women returning to work after maternity. I think for me, I think what's really important is flexibility. Flexibility in general within the organizations. Like, organizations need to be flexible to accept and understand that women go through this, and that is very natural. And for that to work, obviously, we need to raise awareness. So we need to raise awareness in organizations such as Welead, right, which is what we are doing, and we need to also raise awareness within the organizations, making sure that the managers, be it male or female, accept this, because sometimes we think about the male managers, but we also forget that some female managers that are, more advanced in their career sort of forget what they had to go through, right? So in the managers in general, making sure that we are flexible in accepting, that women can come back after either 3 months or 2 years off of work. So for me, it's flexibility is key. From an HR perspective, flexi hours, telecommuting, policies such as those ones shouldn't only be policies, but they should be policies that we follow and that we make sure that we accommodate as necessary. But for that to work, as I said, again, you need to have raised, the awareness for the managers to accept and be able to apply policies even when you have them in-house in the organization.
How can we hold each other's hands as women on the run to the top?
So that's another good one. I think we need to start at home. As families, when we have family members, that need support, that we're there for them. Obviously, having each, making sure that people are supported, like I said, at home, with family, with the kids, etc. I think also within the organizations, as mine, for example, we have what we gender balance committee in all the different areas and countries where we work, and we have one very strong one in Nigeria. And so what we do is we do gender balance events and talk to women about, about just our issues. I think that's another one. Obviously, groups as well, come in very handy for this, talking about, performance-driven women and, how men can, get involved as well, not leaving them aside. And so I think just raising their awareness. I like to say that one thing that I think is really important for us is for women to speak up, and we don't speak up enough. And so that's something that, pulling people up, creating, confident women who can speak up. I think are different tools that we have already, but probably we're not using enough to ensure that women, can climb that ladder and be comfortable when they reach a certain level, right? And confident. Yeah.
What advice or counsel will you offer a new female graduate who just began her career, what can she do to ensure that she plans ahead for her career progress?
So I think other things she can do as well is really understand what her organization is, what type of skill set she would need in order to move up within the organization, or to even just do her perform her work better. If it's an organization where probably it's not provided, then probably she would need to seek outside. So just understand what the skill set is that she would require for retraining or reskilling, and seek that help. Also, in some instances, we can talk about mobility as well. If she's offered opportunity to experience other markets, or to to transfer out to a different area, region, town, even though there are lots of challenges. Obviously, you spoke about that earlier, but even though there are lots of challenges in that, I think it's really important that she should consider and look at it more as a sacrifice, quote unquote, for a short period in order to to move up in her career.
Yes, we know that you are involved with a very wonderful group coming up. Welead, what would you like to share about this organization, and what would you like to tell us about the summit which is upcoming?
So yes, I'm involved with the Women Empowerment and Leadership Advocacy Network, Welead. And the summit is coming up in July 6th at Eco Hotel, with the theme Embracing Challenges, Discovering Opportunities, and Unlocking Potentials. So I got involved with the group not too long ago, and I think their agenda was quite captivating, right? Which is raising performance-driven women to impact growth, but also involving the men and the boys, which are sometimes forgotten. So for me, I think that was really key. So I'm looking forward to the first summit, and looking forward to many more initiatives with Welead. So one thing about Welead as well is that we have a bold footprint in between Cameroon and Nigeria. So we have a Welead sister group in Cameroon, and I think that in its own would foster that relationship between Francophone and Anglophone Africa. In Cameroon as well, we already have some success stories, like the mentor-mentee program that exists today, which we eventually will pick from, and so that's one of the reasons why I think this program is really interesting, and looking forward to having a lot of women attend the summit